Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Nicholas Dragone. Welcome back to more Rainbow Six news. And if you've been watching ESL this week at all and you happen to see the Dark Zero versus Soniqs game, there was kind of a big question looming overhead, and that is, where is SlebbeN and Gomfi? It's a topic we just discussed recently as we saw those roster changes coming in from Soniqs. We saw them picking up SlebbeN and Gomfi, of course, in exchange for Avian and Ghost. But it's after making those changes we were just kind of left wondering this time around, where are those players at? So stay tuned, guys, because we've got a lot of information to look at that'll hopefully clear up some of the confusion. ESL released a statement just this Monday, the 23rd, detailing why we didn't get to see the Soniqs' new players in action. So essentially, SlebbeN and Gomfi are from Europe, and that's where they started their competitive Siege career, and they came over to America to compete for the Soniqs, which ESL says is just fine, but they need a valid long-term visa, which is counted as more than 90 days, and they need to know that they are actually living here and planning to stay here. So they have this rule set in place because they want to know that players are committed to their team as well as Pro League as a whole, and they just don't want people coming from their country to play for just a little bit and then just, to return to their home country. So they were given a deadline of September 1st to provide their visas, and ESL said that they need some substitute players ready in case they weren't able to play, but I'm sure plenty of you guys out there know that these things can take time. This is not an overnight process, so unfortunately they were not able to get the proper documentation on time to them, and as a result they were not able to play. But this just kind of had me questioning, if SlebbeN and Gomfi aren't playing, then who's going to be filling in for them? And as soon as the game started, my question was answered because we saw Avian and Ghost playing for them. And Avian and Ghost were actually the two players that were playing for the Soniqs before SlebbeN and Gomfi got picked up, in case you were wondering. So they actually ended up using their old teammates to play for them in this game. This is where it gets a little funny, but arguably unfair. Before the game started though, Goddess, one of the players of the Soniqs, made a post on Twitter saying they have someone playing on a trackpad and someone playing at an internet cafe to compete. And if you watched the game, you might have noticed that Ghost wasn't playing particularly well. He ended up going 1-8 by the end of the game, which the Soniqs ended up losing 1-7, by the way, so they lost pretty hard. But it was an unfortunate, and I say unfair loss, because after the game ended, Ghost posted this picture on Twitter, revealing to everyone that he'd been playing on a laptop using the trackpad. And this is something that I find both funny and heartbreaking, considering they were kind of just set up for failure from the start, because they had one guy who's relying on a trackpad, let alone a laptop in the first place, which I think is just awful, especially for FPSs, and I'm sure most people would agree with that. But they have another guy, Avian, who is having to play at an internet cafe. So it's probably just generally louder around him than he would have preferred. It's probably harder for him to focus, but he's also most likely using whatever equipment they provided at the internet cafe itself. Nonetheless, though, the odds were stacked against the Soniqs. They still gave it their best shot despite their unfortunate circumstances. And, hey, I got to give it to them for still trying. That's not where it ends, though. Super, the captain of the Soniqs, made a tweet longer going into more detail about the current situation with SlebbeN and Gomfi. In short, they were trying to get them P1 visas, which is the type of visa that an athlete from another country will get when he comes here to play. And they currently have 3-month visas, which is enough to cover the rest of the season, but the government was requesting more information, which kind of ended up just slowing down the whole process. And ESL ended up saying that they needed longer standing visas in order to compete, so they were not able to play. And then ESL ended up saying that they could have gotten a 6-month visa, which wouldn't let them pay their players, but they would be able to compete. And, Soniqs didn't want to do that, obviously, because they want to pay their players. So until the government can respond to them or, they can meet ESL's standards, SlebbeN and Gomfi are not going to be able to play. Then Tribizzle, the manager of the Soniqs, posted his own twit longer with his take on the whole thing, and I'll put links to the twit longers in the description, but he says he was not aware that region transfers weren't a very common thing, so he ended up picking up SlebbeN and Gomfi thinking that it wouldn't cause any issues. And his statement looked largely similar to what Super had to say about the whole thing. He pretty much just said, yeah, we tried our hardest to get these two players in, we were not successful. I even tried arguing, hey, we are committed to this season, these players are going to stay in the United States of America to play for us, but despite it all, ESL, they still would not let them compete. So it's unfortunate to see these guys trying their hardest to get these two players in just to do their job, but hey, everything's got rules, and there are reasons behind rules. Well, most of them anyway. That does conclude this video though, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Nicholas Dragone. I'll be seeing you guys shortly with another one. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.